can find you and who you are.
Thank you. Thank you for having me today. So my name is Melissa McClain. I am a midlife reinvention coach. I am based in Atlanta, Georgia. I have a one-on-one coaching platform. You can find me at melissamcclaincoaching.com. That's MCCLAIN coaching.com. My handle on Instagram is Melissa McClain Coaching as well. Facebook, Melissa McClain Coaching.
Perfect. So take us right from the beginning of it all. When you decided to help people become better, help women find themselves, help women date again, is that part of your journey where you had to find that for yourself, or are you doing it for another reason?
I feel like it's definitely part of my journey. So I empower single women, single and divorced women over 40 to reinvent themselves, to find and attract soulmate love, and to age like a goddess. So that's my passion. So when I think about my history, I mean, I am a product of a single mom who raised 2 kids by herself. So I know just seeing the struggles of raising 2 kids and everything that goes along with that, and being the primary caregiver and not really having time for yourself, or even thinking that you have time to allow love in your life. So I think at the crux of it, that's where it comes from. And growing up in that environment, I would say that I struggled for years dating. I would say as a child of that environment, I didn't have the example. I didn't have an example of a 2-parent home. So I really struggled in relationships for a lot of years. And I think a lot of that struggle, now that I have invested in myself and can have done the 360 turn, came up from a place of unworthiness and not believing in myself and not knowing what I had to offer somebody else. And when you come from that place of not being crystal clear, not loving yourself, not knowing what you have to offer, you just don't attract the right people. You attract the energy that you're putting out. So when women work with me, that's where we begin. We work on coming from that place of deep self-love. So you're not wasting a bunch of time. You're not going to waste a bunch of time with undesirables, because in midlife, we don't settle. Okay, we've settled in our life. And at midlife, this is not a time to settle anymore.
I'm not even 40 and I can't even work out dating. So can I be your first male client, please?
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure it out. I remember in my 20s, I had this dream that I was going to be married, 2 kids, and ride off into the sunset. I'm in my 30s, no kids, not married, still riding off into the sunset though, believe me. So when you say that there's undesirables, I want to touch on that because I absolutely agree. I think we spend too much time on people that we know deep down in our heart are not going to stand the test of time.
Yeah.
So when you're helping these women go through that and understand that, what are some of the roadblocks that are maybe preventing them from saying, hey, this is going nowhere. Let's cut it now and try to find someone where it can go somewhere?
I mean, there's so many things to unpack. Like, number one, I was coaching someone the other day who just felt like she couldn't even say, listen, you're a nice person, but let's just be friends, because it's not going to go anywhere. So we have to have like the umph, the balls, when you're crystal clear, it begins with getting crystal clear. So like, what is it that you deeply desire? Are you wanting to get married? Do you want a long-term relationship and not be married? Do you want to have children? Like, whatever it is, like just being really authentic with that. But then also, as you meet people, sharing that with people, not changing what you want, because maybe there's parts of this person that you like and you're like, well, I'm going to kind of mold myself to him. No, it's like you're coming from a place of deep self-worth, deep self-love. You know exactly what you want, and you're going to verbalize it, and you're going to use your voice. To answer your other question, I think people, they just don't listen to their intuition. Those red flags, the pink flags. And that's just like the little nudge inside. That's when you go on a date and you're like, it's that, like this person is a nice person, but it's just, that person is just not for me, nothing personal. And then people don't listen to that. And they think, well, they start changing things. They start like settling. Well, I guess I could just like settling for less. And that's just not what we do in midlife. This is bullshit. This is a time to step it up. We get to a place in life where we get to ask for what we want, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And when you use that muscle of your voice, you just get stronger, and you get stronger every time.
For me, sometimes I look at dating as like this curve where, and I think maybe this impacts women a little bit more, where you have people that come into your life, and because you're in your 20s, you're willing to entertain any and everyone, right? Because you're still trying to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
And then you reach a certain age, and I think women reach this sooner, where they're like, hey, I want a family. I need to figure this out a lot faster than my male counterparts because of biology, right? It's a little bit different. Yeah. And I think where I come in and where I feel a little bit saddened for women is, to your point, where they reach their midlife and they're thinking, Johnny down the street, I don't really like him, but he says some of the nice things some days when I'm feeling kind of low. How about if I give him an opportunity, knowing it's not going to go anywhere? And as you mentioned, they're picking from a pool that they know is kind of rotten or poison in a way, but you have a choice then, right? Do I die alone? Or, to use your word, do I take on someone where I'm like, yeah, this kind of feels like I'm settling? Does that happen to some of the clients you deal with?
Oh, yeah. I mean, listening to your intuition is key. Like we have to, and you can meet people anywhere. So some people, I mean, just they have a hard time online dating. That's just an avenue. You can meet your soulmate. Like we want soulmate love, right? We want deep, sexy love, like best friend love, like getting clear on that. But you can meet that person anywhere. It's about being magnetic and sparkly and learning the art of flirtation. And I thought it was really interesting because just even having eye contact with someone, smiling at people, letting them know that you're available. And when you look at the statistics or you hear from men, a lot of people, they just look away. You may look at someone, they just like look away, but it's like, no, and they're doing it like out of fear. Like, even though they're totally available, when you do that, you don't make a man know that you're available. Men get a lot of pressure. It's like you're supposed to be the ones that ask a woman out and you're supposed to lead, and we want you to lead, right? But no one really teaches a lot of men that on how to do that. So it's okay to kind of lead and do things without like really leading. Like for example, if we were out and I saw you across the room, instead of leaving, like you might be someone who's shy. You know what I mean? Like you might be someone who's shy. Maybe, but you might be someone who's shy, who's not going to come up, even though if we catch eyes. But you know what you could do from a place of self-love? You could I could walk over to you before the night ends and give you my card and say, hey, just in case you're single, if you asked me out, I would say yes. I mean, how would it feel if somebody did that to you?
I would feel great because women don't approach men.
Right. This is what I'm saying. Right. They don't.
I would feel great. Like, ladies, get a card. Approach men. Approach me. Like if you want to go that route. But you're absolutely right. So continue. So what are some of the ways that women can give signals to men saying that, hey, I am interested? Because you're right. Sometimes you make eye contact. Like if I'm looking at you and you kind of turn your head away, I'm going to take that as she's not interested or she's spoken for, right?
Right. Right. Well, a big thing is eye contact and smiling and flirting and just kind of wherever you go, being kind to, like, showing love to everyone, whoever you're at the grocery store, and you're just being friendly, because when you show up with that energy, that magnetism, that is the energy that attracts a whole nother kind of man. Right. But another thing, you could walk up to someone and say, wow, your girlfriend must be a really lucky girl. And that gives you an opportunity to say, I don't have a girlfriend. I'm single. Great. Fabulous. It's just like little things like that. We put the ball in the man's court 100% of the time. And why not just kind of be coy and funny and step it up a little bit if you actually are interested? Because too many times, and listen, when I was younger, I would do it. I would be the one that would look away, just because it was more out of insecurity. I would be the one that would look away. I would definitely not be the one that would walk up to you and be like, hey, your girlfriend must be a really lucky girl, to give someone that opportunity. I didn't do anything of that. This is like a more mature Melissa. This is advanced.
So from like beginner to intermediate, now she's like, hey, I'm going to go get what I want.
Yeah, like you have to go.
Right?
Midlife is not a time to settle, right? It's the time a woman becomes the queen of herself. And a lot of the women I work with are either, you could be divorced, you could be single and divorced, you could be single. I mean, whatever it is, something's not working. And actually you don't have time to like play around, right? When you're in midlife, you have to kind of be realistic. Okay, I'm 40, I'm 50. How many more years do I have here? When we're younger, we don't really think about it like that. We think we're going to be here forever and ever, and that's it. And then you get to 40 and 50, 60, you might be like, I really only have a good 30 left. What are you going to do with that 30?
Do you think there's a point where, as you mentioned, where we should be having that type of conversation where it's like, hey, I'm approaching 40. I'm in my 40s. I'm approaching 50. What does the next 30 years of my life look like? Do I want a companion? Do I want to be married? Do I want a boyfriend? Do I want a girlfriend? Because I had that type of conversation in my late 20s. And I was trying to say, hey, I want this type of life. Let me pursue it. But as you mentioned, some people don't realize that until they're at the halfway point or just slightly over. So is it too late for them, or do they still have the opportunity to say, hey, I can right this ship?
It is never too late. I don't care if you're 80. It's never too late. It's never too late. It's never too late for love. It's never too late to get what you desire. It's never too late to get over yourself. I mean, what keeps people stuck are the stories that are running in their heads. And a lot of times it's shit that happened when they were 8 years old, 10 years old, 15, just the things that keep you stuck. We like to call it like your younger self, your inner child, your shadow self. I mean, this is like real life stuff. It's not woo-woo stuff. It's like real life stuff, and we all have it. I mean, I would say that on this planet, we have a lot of children running around in adult bodies, right? And you can tell by the way you act when things don't go your way, or when someone breaks up with you, or taking the dating process way too seriously. It's just a date. Like, just go out and have fun. Like, just because, we start talking and we've been talking for 2 weeks and you make that date mean so much. And then if it's like you go out, you had a good time, and maybe you don't hear from him again, it's not personal. It just means that at the end of the day, you're probably not going to like everyone that you go out with. So why should everybody like you? It's all the moons and stars have to be there. But if you just show up like you're meeting a friend, you're having fun getting out, it's light, that's just better energy, and that's conscious dating. So that's, one of the things that I teach is conscious dating. And that's really showing up from a place of deep self-love. And when you show up from that place, you have a more empowering narrative.
So take us through sometimes how the dating prospects can be for the women, especially women who are divorced, who may feel that they don't want to, or maybe they can't remarry because they've been there, done that. They may have children, but now after so many years, they're back on the dating market. How do you coach them?
Oh, well, the first thing we need to do is, instead of just randomly going out there, let's like get crystal clear on what is it that you want now. Okay. Like, what do you want? Especially if you're, and it depends on the history. Like, we need to heal our wounds. Have we healed the wounds from this past relationship? Have we consciously completed this last relationship? Because relationships end, and we don't have to make it a bad thing. Marriages end. It doesn't mean that you're a failure. And a lot of people walk around with that, because it's really like till death do us part it's kind of like an old narrative. That's a long time to be with someone, especially when you start younger. I mean, let's face it, really, more than 50% of marriages end up in divorce. And that's the true fact. And then people go on to remarry, and then people get divorced, and sometimes people go on to marry after that, but it's all about, and this is a whole nother conversation, but having just like a good divorce, meaning you two part ways, but the family stays intact,
For those who are following along on Facebook, YouTube, and my social media, please continue to subscribe for more wonderful interviews like the one we have with my new best friend, Melissa, who's talking about all the beautiful things when it comes to dating, especially over 40 for you ladies out there, and some men, because you have to learn how to speak to the women too. And we will be back